There we go. So you should be able to see tips and tutoring on your screens. Is that correct?
Yep, we can see that.
Cool. All right, so my name is Jason Woltja, and I am the supervisor at our Westerville location at Columbus State. And most recently, this location has moved on to the campus of Otterbein University. So now we're right there alongside Otterbein, a great new partnership there. And we're part of the Delaware campus and the regional learning centers, but we're always open to help students across Columbus State. So the session today is titled Tips and Tutoring, and so it's really just, especially for newer students or maybe students who just haven't become aware of what resources are out there, just a way to start the semester off strong, to know what resources are available to you, what help is out there, and how to access it, that most importantly. Notes here. And so to kick things off, I wanted to share kind of my top three. If I had to pick the three things that I share with students, and I share these out of my own personal experience. I'm actually currently a student at Columbus State as well as a staff person here. So I've been working on a certificate program, so this is my second semester working on that. And so these are tips from my experience of what I do each semester. So these aren't just, good ideas. These are things I put into practice. And everyone at Columbus State should tell you the syllabus is important. Please, if you haven't already this semester, make sure that you do pull up that syllabus, read it. It's not terribly long, but there's a lot of really great information in there. And a lot of times instructors will give you all of their dates either in the syllabus or sometimes it's an additional document, but also look for those dates of all of your deadlines, of when units are going to be covered, and put those into a calendar. For me, I'm kind of old school. I have a paper calendar where I write those down. But for key things like finals or midterms, I might put those into my phone so that I know as I'm scheduling different things on the go, to avoid those dates. But absolutely from the get-go, pull out that syllabus, go through all those dates, get those in a calendar, and it'll kind of help you know what to expect from week to week and plan for your activities there. The second one is incredibly critical as we work remote. Don't hesitate to ask for clarification. I've been in classes where there's an instruction for an assignment that just isn't clear to me. I reach out to the instructor and they're always happy to kind of answer those questions. There's been a few times even where what was in Blackboard was out of date, and so the assignment has kind of changed a little bit, and so what I'm reading is different from what I hear in their lecture. And so those, just going out and asking about that has made the instructor aware of that so that they could correct it for the whole class. So it might be something that it's not just you, it's everyone in the classes is unclear about. So always ask for clarification. The instructor's email is in Blackboard. You can access it that way. And typically there's oftentimes an avenue in Blackboard through a discussion board where you could even ask questions that way too. And then my third piece that I stress is log in every day to your Blackboard and to your email. For me, I have particular days like Friday is a big day for me doing schoolwork. But on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm checking in at least, periodically, seeing if there's any new announcements on Blackboard. Are there any new emails from my faculty, things like that. If that's all you do in the day, that's fine, but just every day kind of log in, check in, and make sure that you're not missing out on different things that way. So those would be my top three pieces. And then if I had to add one kind of related is I also try to work, especially in this remote world, I work one day ahead of my deadlines. So if I have something to do on Friday, I try to get it done on Thursday because you just never know. Internet outages, issues with software, your own schedule, things pop up, minor emergencies. So it's always good if you give yourself that day where you can kind of get it done. And then if you need to, you have the extra day to actually turn it in on that deadline date. So those are my big tips for success from my own personal experience here. And so I want to turn now to some resources that are available to you. And the biggest is our resources for students page. I can't stress enough how just incredible this page is. The folks that work on the website for Columbus State have done an incredible job. So let me pull that up. Are you guys able to see the website there now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this is our homepage. And while we're here, I do want to point out, if you scroll over this login, learn on, amazing resource for those of you who are maybe new to doing education remotely. A lot of great information about working from home, working on the computer, whatnot. So do check that out. But right now I'm going to go up to this resources for page, and I'm going to click on students. And this, again, is just a wealth of information for students. Just about everything that you're going to need to know as a student is probably found somewhere on this page here. But a couple of things I wanted to point out. We do have our different locations. So if you want to reach out to a particular location, or our telephone information center, if you need to ask questions over the phone, you can get their information there. And then Student Central, they can answer just about any question you have there as well. And in fact, if you go to their page, most time during the day, they have a little live chat box down here where you can put in your name, ID number, and you can chat with somebody almost immediately throughout the day. There's someone monitoring that. So if you're just really not sure even where to start, you might start with Student Central, use that live chat, or again, you can call the phone number there, or you can even email them questions. But that's a wonderful place to start with your questions. Perfect. I wanted to scroll down a little bit and look at specifically this online learning page. And again, I talked about how this might be a new experience for a lot of us. So this is a great place to start to really think about how you're going to approach your education working online here. And trying to remember what. Okay, here we go. So if Blackboard is new to you, or just kind of want to know more about Blackboard, there's a site here we can learn about that. There's also a really cool piece here about additional online pieces that are available to you. And so this talks about Blackboard as well as your usernames, your passwords. If you have questions about email, disability services is available there, and all of their services are available to you as you're working remote as well. So don't forget that. Pieces about software and different mobile apps and internet access are there for you. I also wanted to point out on this page, this online learning help is where you can ask questions specifically about Blackboard or even just different tech. So the help center, IT help center is there. You can email them as well, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then additionally, pieces about using different software remotely. I know I kind of navigated through this, but again, this is from the student resources for students page. And then I went to online learning. I wanted to talk about this as well. If you are not already using Microsoft Office, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint, it is available to you as students for free. It's part of your student account here at Columbus State. So I often recommend avoiding Google, using the Google Docs, things like that. Install a version of Microsoft Office on your computer or your device, and instructions for doing so are here on this page. Or again, you can always call our help desk and they can walk you through that over the phone. So please take advantage of that. Microsoft Word is a great tool, and it's what a lot of the faculty are already using, so it's going to help you out in the long run.
Hey, Jason, we had a question about the help desk. Is it the online service help available 24 hours?
So the help desk is not 24 hours, but it's nearly that. Sorry, they don't have it here on their page. I believe it's like 7 in the morning till like 10 or 11 at night. Let me go back to the resources page. And there's a link here for the IT Student Support Center. So let's go in there. Here we go. Yeah, 7:30 a.m. till 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then they do have Saturday and Sunday hours. So they are almost always open unless you're up in the middle of the night. Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you. So the next thing I wanted to look at is back under that resources for students page. If I scroll down here. Another key piece of your education is doing research. And for a lot of people like myself, that meant going to the library, pulling resources off the shelves, or at least talking with the librarian in person and getting connected to resources. So that whole research piece could be kind of confusing. But the library is full service, even remotely. So if you go to their library page, this is where you can connect with a librarian. So they have a phone number here where you can give them a call. But they also have what they call a book a librarian option, where you can actually set up an appointment with one of their librarians and then say, hey, here's the topic I'm researching. I'm not sure even where to begin. And they can walk you through online databases where you can find articles from magazines and other periodicals. They can connect you to ebooks, show you how to access those ebooks, the software, the technology you might need if you're unfamiliar with that whole process. So if you're to that point where you need to do research and you're just kind of frozen, you don't know where to start, hop on the library page, do that book or librarian or give them a call and just say, hey, I need help getting started. And they also have a chat feature, as you can see popped up there in the lower right. So you can oftentimes live chat with somebody if you just have a quick question or need help getting started. So know that they're there. I believe, yeah, they have their virtual hours there as well. So again, they're there most of the time, 7:30 to 10, if you need to talk with somebody at the library. So please take advantage of that, and they can help you work through the research part. And then the last piece I wanted to talk on, if I scroll down here, sorry, I forgot where I went. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. You should have received as a student an email, and one of the emails that talked about this pre-semester checklist. And I know now we're already, going into week 2 here, but I wanted to show this to you. If I can get this to load here. For any new student, I highly encourage walking through this, because it's going to go over a lot of the different things we use: Blackboard, Starfish, NetTutor, which I'll go into in more detail here in a little bit. But walk through this and make sure you're kind of comfortable with this information, and not, knowing how to access the different resources that we talked about as well. So I just wanted to point that out as well. So let me go back to my PowerPoint here. And so moving beyond resources, looking at, again, some helpful technology that I encourage you using in this remote world. And I already mentioned the Microsoft Office suite. So again, that's your Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint tools. You can access those also through your email, your student email, if you want to do it all online. But again, like I said, you have a free license to download that to your home machine. I want to also share a little bit about our virtual desktop. So if you're in a class, like a lot of times our computer science classes or some of our very program-specific classes will have software that's required to do the classwork. And your instructor might mention using the virtual desktop. And basically what this is you can it's like remoting into a computer that's on the Columbus campus somewhere. And again, this is on that online learning page that we were on a minute ago. Yep, so I was on online learning help. And if I scroll down, it's right here. It says, how do I connect to a virtual desktop computer? So I won't go into that whole lot, but I just wanted to make you aware that sometimes instructor might say, hey, you have access to use this particular coding software or professional software. It's available through the virtual desktop. If that's something that you're not sure about, again, you can always call our help desk and they can walk you through the phone. But there's also step-by-step instructions there for you. And so that's kind of cool. That way you don't have to buy any software or download anything on your computer necessarily. You can use it all through Columbus State.
Hey, Jason, we do have a couple of questions.
Yeah, please.
So if the Microsoft Office app does not work, what is the best thing to resolve that issue?
So it doesn't work on your personal technology. I would recommend calling our help desk. Is the number still up here on the screen? Yep, at 287-5050. And they can walk through. It could be on your device, something there. It could be an incompatibility thing, but they would definitely be the ones to call and walk through that.
And you should be able to download it on HP, Mac, whichever one.
Yeah, I believe it downloads to just about anything, even mobile, iPhone, Android. Yep.
And then one other person is asking more about the virtual desktop. Is it the same as Zoom?
No, so it's a little bit different than Zoom. This is, it's kind of one of those out there ideas, but it's kind of like as if you were walking into a lab on Columbus State's campus and logging into the computer there. And so what you'll do is when you go into that virtual desktop, you'll see a new, basically PC desktop pop up. And so it'll have, the software that would be available within that lab. And so it's sort of like you're working in that lab, but remotely from home.
So I think you'd really only use it in specific classes. I would
Correct.
say for your health and human services classes, you wouldn't necessarily need the virtual desktop. It's more so if there's big software, like even editing PDFs or bigger things that you wouldn't want to download to your personal computer, but you could use this virtual desktop and access it.
Correct. Yeah, one that comes to mind is we hosted a construction management class that had a big construction estimating tool software that they used, and very expensive, and so they don't make students buy it, but they would have access to it from the lab, so they can still remote in to this virtual desktop and use that software from home without having to buy it. So that's an example. Good question. Any others, Avery?
Nope. Keep going. You're doing great.
All right, thank you. And the last one, this is sort of my own personal piece. So there's some really good tools out there to work with PDFs and to create PDFs. And so last semester I was in a math class, and a lot of my homework was something that I could print off, do it, and then I had to turn it back in somehow. And so for one, I have a printer, but I didn't want to print off 100 pages throughout the semester. So I found a tool called Drawboard, and there's many other out there, but let me just pull this up. And so Drawboard, this is a sample PDF here on the screen, but it lets you actually just write or edit right onto a PDF. And so you can see this particular program lets you draw ink, it lets you highlight, it lets you underline, you can add text. So I'm going to pull up an example worksheet here. So say this is my math homework, and I can actually come over to this little pen tool, and I can just write directly on here, and I could put whatever my answers are. And there's also a typing tool, so I could come down here and say, make a little box here, the answer is Z or X. And then I could save that, and then it's ready to go. It's still a PDF. I can just say, upload that through Blackboard or email it back to my instructor that way. And that way I'm not printing things off, and I'm not having to scan and upload those back. So if that's an issue you're running into where you want to work in those PDFs without having to print it, you could look at a Drawboard. Let me put that in the chat too. Sorry. So I found that was pretty helpful for me. There's a little bit of a learning curve and getting used to it, but once I did it, I had worksheets sometimes twice a week, and so it was nice to not have to print all those out. I could just work on them right there on my computer. If you're working on like a tablet or something you can actually touch the screen, it's real easy too, because you can just use your finger to write directly on there. And then another piece, oops. So on the other end, so say you do want to go ahead and print those off, and work on them on paper, and that's totally fine. But then getting them back to some kind of electronic form was difficult. And so I found through Microsoft, they have a mobile app, and I believe it's both iOS and Android friendly, called Office Lens. And what that does is basically you take a picture with your phone of your worksheet, and it kind of straightens it out, cleans it up, and puts it into a PDF file. And then you can, same thing, you can email that or upload that through Blackboard back to your instructor. And so that's a way you can work on things physically, on paper, and then get it to your instructor quickly and easily without having to scan things in and mess with file formats and all that stuff. So those two kind of hand in hand have been pretty helpful when working remotely on different homework pieces. And I'll put that one in the chat here. And real quick, I'll take an opportunity. So Avery or anyone else, is there any other tools or kind of things you've run into working remotely that you could recommend, Nathan?
I think you've covered the good ones. I think being able to mark on a PDF is really nice. But yeah, I mean, when I got to working from home, I had to download the whole Microsoft Office suite because before I just didn't really need it. So definitely downloading that was really helpful.
Yeah. I might also throw in, I know you mentioned Microsoft Office. I guess we could specifically bring attention to maybe getting Outlook on your phone, because it can be really useful having your emails just right there on your phone, and you get notifications when you get them. So that's something I did, and that's super useful. So I figured I'd just bring attention to that specifically.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Nathan. I forgot about that. Yeah. The Outlook app is compatible with your student email, and so you can add that to your phone, and then when you get those emails, communications, they can pop up right on your phone. Very helpful. Thank you.
And I think towards the end too, if we want to put emails in the chat, we can send you the PowerPoint too. Would that be okay, Jason?
Yeah, absolutely, please. Okay. So I'm going to shift gears then, and we're going to talk a little bit about tutoring now. And so first, before I go into tutoring too much, I wanted to kind of define some terms that we use at Columbus State. And so tutoring is, like you would expect, it's helping in a subject area Generally, it's one-on-one, but sometimes it's in a group. But it's not teaching, it's not doing your homework or anything like that. But you really have to approach it as with some questions in mind. So I need help with this work, or I'm struggling with this problem, or with this essay, things like that. Tutoring at Columbus State is free for all Columbus State students who are currently enrolled. So please take advantage of any and all tutoring that you could find helpful. Right now, everything is done through a service called NetTutor, and I'll walk you through what that looks like here in just a second. But that's a company outside of Columbus State who's assisting us. And even when we're in person classes, NetTutor offers 24/7 tutoring, which I'll show you how to access. But then right now we're using this Pisces program or platform, which is kind of more like Zoom, as we mentioned earlier, where you're going to go into a virtual meeting with a tutor one-on-one and work on whatever topic area you're talking about. I did inquire, and we still are doing what's called supplemental instruction. It's a student hired by the and a tutor in a particular class. So you
Hold
might
on,
be
Jason.
in.
I think you may have cut out. It might have just been my end. So supplementary instructor one more time.
Yes, thank you. I apologize. I had students at home working on homework here too. So the SI leader, which SI is what we call supplemental instruction, is actually in the class that you're taking. It may not be the exact section, but so say you're in English 1100, there might be a supplemental instruction tutor available for specifically English 1100, where they're in the class, they're taking the tests, they know all the notes, ins and outs. So it's a little bit more specific than tutoring might be. And then we also have peer tutoring, which is more one-on-one with a student, and they're in that class, again, taking notes alongside you. Supplemental instruction is going to be a little bit more group-based, from what I understand. But I bring those up because if you want a little bit more hands-on with specific class instead of just a topic, you might check out to see what supplemental instruction and peer tutoring are available, or you might ask your instructor and say, hey, do you know if there's any peer tutors for this course? And so how do I access tutoring, and when do I access it? So typically we would have tutors who would hold sessions, different locations throughout Columbus State in person, but right now it's all virtual, accessing it through what I mentioned, the Pisces program. So let me pull back up to our website. You access Pisces by going to your Blackboard. I'll go ahead and log in here. And you can access it from any of your courses, either current or past. I'm just going to go into the course that I'm here. And what you're looking for is this icon up here in the top right, which is a kind of a green box with a green N in it. If you click on that, that's going to take you out to our NetTutor service. So as I mentioned, we have Pisces. That's the live one-on-one tutoring. And then down below is NetTutor, which I'll go into in just a minute. And so as you can see, there's currently 12. They call them groups, but they're typically tutors who are available right now for tutoring, and they're available in these subjects. But I can always just click on Pisces here. And I'm going to go to math. So if we scroll down, you can see, there's many subjects in here. So just about any class you're going to take at Columbus State, there's likely a tutor available at some point to tutor in that area. So I actually want math specifically for statistics, and that's something you have to be careful about. Some tutors will only tutor on like algebra or calculus. Some can do everything, including stats, and some are stats specific. So I'm going to come down to just stats here. And you should see the screen right off that tells you here are the days and times that someone is available to tutor you on stats. And the good news is, because it's all remote, you can meet with anybody, and so you can get tutoring just about any hour of the day this semester. So someone's there from 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So let's hop on in here. And so our one-on-one live rooms, those are your tutors, where you'd meet one-on-one with a tutor. The study groups and the online meetings, those are likely where you would meet with a supplemental instruction tutor or with a peer tutor. But I'm going to go into the one-on-one live room here. So you just click on the arrow. And so it's going to show you right now, Risa Owen is available. And I'm not sure why she showed up here, because she does not do stats, so ignore that. But then you can see down here, we also have another tutor, looks like a Tefa, and they're available to tutor in stats 1450. So if that's the class I'm in, I could hop right into this room. It's open now, and I can start working with that tutor one-on-one. So that's how you get right into tutoring. Now, I won't go into a live session with the tutor, but I did want to show you what that would look like once you're in. So let me pull up my PowerPoint here again. So the first thing you'll go into is what's called a lobby. And the lobby is going to look something similar to this right here. And it's kind of, if you're old school like me, it looks like a chat room or kind of an instant messaging chat area. There's an area for you here in the green box to start typing messages to the tutor. So that's where you could just start off with, hi, I'm in this stats class. I have some questions about this particular topic. From there, you can work with the tutor and you can decide to either go into what's called a drawing canvas. And that looks a little bit like this. And that there you can work with the tutor and they can actually draw out math problems. They can walk you through how to post, if you have a PDF of your homework, how to post what the actual PDF into this, and they can work with you one-on-one through that. They can put all the different math symbols and whatnot on there and work through problems that way. Or if it's, just something where you need to talk through, social class, psych class, something like that, you could launch into a video chat, and that would be kind of similar to what we're doing here, where oftentimes you can see the tutor on their camera, but you can at least just talk back and forth and walk through the subject matter that way. So it might look different depending on the subject matter, whether you go into the Canvas or through the video chat. Sometimes if it's just a kind of basic question, you could do everything through the chat screen right here. But that's what you'll see when you go in to meet with the tutor. So it'll look something like that. And they've been doing this virtual tutoring now for a semester. So a lot of them have gotten the hang of it and kind of know the rhythm, and they're comfortable kind of walking you through from your end if you're new to the experience, kind of how to do different things within these tools. The other piece I wanted to mention is inside of that Pisces program, you'll have a button which is your locker. And in fact, let me see if it's still up here. Yep. So in any of the topics, you can see this. Here's my math, stats, probability locker. What's really cool is if you work with a tutor and say you go into that whiteboard and you walk through your homework, all of that work that you do in the whiteboard is saved as an image here in your locker. So you could log in any hour after that, go back in and pull that back up and see the notes that you and the tutor took alongside. And then your whole session, if you meet with them and talk through things, that's all recorded, and that's also available to you in your locker. So if you, a week later, you remember you talked with the tutor about a subject, but you can't, for the life of you, remember exactly what they said, you can always go back into your locker here, pull that video back up and listen to that conversation again. So please don't forget that that's available to you. Really, really cool feature in my mind, and really helpful for me because I have a terrible memory. So if I don't write it down, it's gone. So it's good to know that I could go back and kind of review our conversation that way. So going back, and I mentioned a couple times then, so if say the one-on-one tutoring through Pisces either doesn't work with your schedule or we don't quite have the exact subject that you're looking for, you could also try going through NetTutor, and this would be working with a tutor outside of Columbus State through the NetTutor group, but they typically have tutoring available 24/7. So if you're a night owl and you like working at 3 in the morning and you want someone to help you, typically you can find somebody through NetTutor to work with you. So let me go back over to my Blackboard. I'm going to go back to my courses. And let's go back into my CSCI course here. So again, for anything tutoring, I'm looking for that green box with the green in here. Go ahead and click on that. We talked about Pisces, but I'm going to scroll down, and now I'm going to look for NetTutor. And like it says, if you can't find a campus, faculty or staff in Pisces, try visiting NetTutor. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it looks very similar. They're going to have all the different subject areas here. So I'm just going to hop into anthropology. And so you can drop in and wait for a live tutor, or you can even go into the scheduling system and say, I don't need to meet someone exactly right now, but I want to set up, every Tuesday at 11 p.m. to meet with the tutor. You can schedule an appointment that way. You can also drop things off. And so this is a way with our Columbus State tutors, they don't want you to just drop off a paper for them to mark up. They want to walk through that with you so they can explain their markings. But if that doesn't work for you, you can go into like a writing tutor through NetTutor and drop off a paper, or you can drop off, a worksheet and say, hey, I'm having a problem with this specific question here. And what they'll do is someone from that tutor will look it over, give you some feedback, and send it back to you. It likely email it to you, but you also have it here available in your locker. So this is just another option to you. If you're having trouble connecting with one of our Columbus State students, know that this is another avenue you could take. So I wanted to share that. And that's all I have from my end. Are there any other questions or anything you want me to go into more detail as far as either resources or tutoring?
Jason, I had a question. I know with our writing center, normally you can just like submit full papers and then check the box of check grammar or check sources. Is that, you would do that through the drop-off question, or is that a different link?
So I did try to look into that, because typically at the writing center you could drop things off. It seemed to me like they don't encourage that a whole lot, of actually dropping off a paper. Let me go back though and see. I'll walk through that. So if I go back into Pisces, and they do have this submit papers, but I think, yes, this is just the locker. Yes, I think they still want you to go into a live one-on-one room, even if you have a paper to submit with somebody.
Okay, just double checking.
And that's another one of those where for any of the tutoring, they typically have a website as well. So I should have said this when I was back here on, this is the resources for students page I was on earlier. And you can come down to academic support, and there's a page for tutoring. If I keep scrolling down, and they have all the different departments here. And so I could go into writing centers. And right now, as we're working remotely, if you look for these green boxes, those are typically things that are specific to working remotely as a student. So I always check those first for any updates and things like that. Yep. Yeah, any other questions?
No, this has been great. Thank you, Jason,
Absolutely.
and everybody. I appreciate it, Avery. This is great. The library, I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Glad to hear that. If you guys wouldn't mind, if you put your email in the chat, we can send you the PowerPoint too.
Absolutely, and I put all these links that I went to in that PowerPoint, so they'll be right there. We can just click right on them. And so Nathan's one of our students here. Do you have anything that you would add from your lens that I haven't covered?
I don't know that I really have anything. I think you covered everything pretty solid.
Good.
I guess just as far as everything in general, I think you did a pretty solid job covering it all. So
Thank you.
Are you welcome?
Yeah. And my big thing is, this is new for a lot of us, so don't be embarrassed to ask questions, to say, hey, I don't understand, or I'm not sure how to use X, Y, or Z. We're all in this to work together, and we'll help you through as best we can. So, especially that tutoring platform, like I said, luckily a lot of tutors have a semester under their belts, so they can typically walk you through that pretty well. So check it out. I see that folks are sharing. Okay. So, like Avery said, pop your email in the chat if you want us to send you that PowerPoint. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. But otherwise, that concludes our session for today. And again, thank you guys for joining us.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys so much. We got lots more events going on. I'm glad you guys stumbled upon this one, but feel free to check out Career Connect for all the events.
Yep.
Definitely.
All right, I'm going to stop recording.